Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Tuesday. This is Game Day Live, coming to you live from the Primetime Radio Studios inside the bunker in an undisclosed location in beautiful New Jersey. And where the hot stories are turning around in Chicago, Illinois, is Vinnie Parise, streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, X Live, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network as the Devils take on the New York Islanders tonight at the Rock. Oh, they're probably having a fun time at American Whiskey. Unfortunately, we have some scheduling conflicts, Vinny, but hey, the show must go on one way or another. Boy, there's a lot of things.
The show goes on no matter what, right? Like, we're here doing this show. It doesn't matter if we're in the bunker. It doesn't matter if we're at American Whiskey. It doesn't matter if there's crazy hockey stories going on all across the country. So far today, it's just been a Banana Lands day. But guess what, Samu? I am so excited for tonight's game between the Devils and the Islanders. I literally cannot wait.
I'll be honest with you. I don't want to talk about the game right now. I want to talk about something else. Just for at least 5-10 minutes. Because I got to make a point. I
wonder what it's going to be about, Sam.
What's the elephant in the room?
Yeah.
Somebody's got it going on, as the song says.
There's a lot going on right now, especially in my little world of, the two teams I talk about the most online for work is the New Jersey Devils and the Chicago Blackhawks. And, my fanhood is certainly strictly with the Devils, but I live in Chicago. I'm around the team a lot. I see what's going on pretty closely. It's been a wild week, Sam. It's been a wild week.
Wild week. All right, so let me address the elephant in the room because there's something that is bothering me about this whole thing. Okay. It wasn't too long ago something happened with Corey Perry, and then the rumor mill started. And I started seeing, these memes coming from, these sites that, are kind of fan-centric. I've seen them before, but I haven't. And you see these memes saying something about that Corey Perry was involved with a player's mother, okay? And obviously it's Connor Bedard. And I was just kind of observing how fake news travels. So I kind of kept my mouth shut a little bit, poke fun here and there. And then it all really unraveled. The memes got even harder, funnier, whatever you want to say. It just spiraled out of control to the point where there was a credible reporter in Chicago, I believe, that was pleading, saying that no, it was not that involving Connor Bedard's mother and Corey Perry. And then finally, is it Kyle Davidson of the Blackhawks finally put out a presser stating that it had nothing to do with that rumor. Okay. While Corey Perry is on waivers, placed on waivers, and whatever. You know the feeling I get, Vinny, how bad I feel for the Bedard family? It's the same feeling I got during the playoffs against Carolina when that Carolina Hurricanes fan put something about Ellen Hughes in Jack Hughes' face and thought it was really funny that he thought, oh, I gotcha. And thought but really he was just a big clown. Did you get that same feeling as well? Because I was kind of pissed about the whole thing,
Yeah, of course I got really pissed. I mean, this whole thing, it proves two major flaws that go on, amongst many, but there are two big flaws in the internet world, regarding sports and whatnot that come out when stuff like this happens. The first is that the way fake news travels and is believed. And it's whatever I read on the internet, whatever this trend says is true. Yep. And I have to believe it. It's gospel to me now. That's why, Sam, I think the entire political world is messed up the way it is. And
it's in
our sport. It's in our sports world too now. And it's just the way fake news spreads so fast. That's problem number one. Problem number two, fans of teams in this country, and I do think it is in every country, but it does seem like, a lot, in our North American sports here, people think that just because they're paying customers, they get to say whatever they want, whenever they want, no matter what. And I don't get down with that at all.
Yeah.
You want to chirp a player because he sucks. Oh, you're so-and-so and you haven't scored a goal in 9 games. Fine. That's we all get angry about our teams. I'm very much guilty of it. But to say something about a player's family, I know Westbrook of the Los Angeles Lakers was just in the news for chirping with a fan about something he said about his family a couple days ago. You do not get a free pass just because you're a paying customer. If you're at your real job in real life and someone comes up to you and they just start harassing you and your family, are you going to be okay with that? No, you're absolutely not. It's the same thing. So, some of the things that people just say on the internet or say to people in person, I'm like absolutely mind blown over it. This Connor Bedard, Corey Perry thing, not good. Not a good sign. It's not a good sign of where we are as a culture.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
It's because it's just something that was probably a sick joke, then spiraled out of control. And, people are asking on the YouTube Live what I was referring to about the Ellen Hughes thing. During the playoffs in Carolina, there was a Carolina Hurricanes fan, I believe was near the penalty box or near the Devil's bench. I forgot which one, where. Actually had a cardboard cutout or a Photoshop of Sebastian Aho, I believe, with Ellen Hughes, like "Who's Your Daddy" or something like that, or something to that effect. I don't really remember, but it was out there. It was right on TV. It was on the internet, and the guy was very proud of. That fan was very proud of what he did, but I got to tell you, family, especially moms and children, should be hands off. You can't go there because nothing good, could happen. Yeah, Max is saying Sebastian Aho's face was photoshopped on Jack's dad next to his mom. Yeah. That kind of thing. So, again, I was kind of pissed at it because it's like, how low do you want to go? It's one thing like back in 2012 when the LA fans thought it was cute, but having Snooki and all the Jersey Shore cast, head figures, that's one thing. But to actually go to attack family and bring, which they did unprovoked, is absolutely terrible.
Absolutely. And for the Blackhawks, one of the top money-making franchises in the NHL, their most valuable asset probably isn't too thrilled to be a part of the team right now. Like if you talked with Connor Bedard behind closed doors, there's no way he is enjoying this in any way, shape, or form.
No.
And, it probably doesn't happen if he's not on the Hawks or if the Hawks don't have Perry. It kind of goes back to the thing like Jack is one of the most important players to the entire NHL. Oh, and guess what? His brother Luke's on the team too. So those guys, in protecting their well-being and how they feel about things, very, very important for the team and the league. It's kind of annoying that it took Kyle Davidson, this long to debunk that rumor. I don't have a problem with Kyle Davidson keeping, the employment issue, whatever the actual employment issue. If they want to keep that private, I have no issue with. I don't need to know what's going on in the workplace. That's not what, is supposed to happen. That stuff is supposed to be handled internally. But not debunking the Bedard rumor 4 days ago is crazy to me. I can't believe it took till actually releasing Perry for Kyle Davidson to get on a mic and say, hey, that's not the case. That's a disgusting rumor you people have started. Don't believe everything you read online. It's just nasty.
What? And it would have been better if the Blackhawks and Perry both made a statement at the same time. Look, this is a serious matter we're dealing with, but it's not that. Let us get back to this serious matter.
Yes.
But, you've got the collective bargaining agreement. You've got all sorts of legal issues. I get it. But and you knew that the GM was holding it inside, and that's got to be tough because it's like you feel so bad for this family that had nothing to do with anything. I mean, if I were the father, the husband, I'd be pissed. I would be pissed, but who do you – and that's the problem with the internet. You don't know who started. And I was even thinking about this, before the podcast, Vinny. If I were the Blackhawks right now, even though it's an impossible task, I would use resources in the United States and in Canada to find out where this actually began. To actually, as a deterrent for this ever to happen again across North America or any NHL team, knowing that the NHL and the teams actually have the resources that if you piss them off that much for something that's over the top, they will go after you. It wouldn't be such a bad thing. It probably would not go anywhere, but just the threat, maybe somebody would think twice before pulling a stunt like that, just to get a cheap laugh out of it.
I would love to hear that the Blackhawks organization and the Bedard family were suing someone for defamation of character. I would love it. That would make me so happy. That would be so happy.
Yeah, because, honestly, because like you and I do this podcast, this can happen to us. Matter of fact, I'll even go further. Last season, as you know, I'm not going to go into details. There were a couple shady things on Twitter that was going on, but I had to keep my mouth shut because I didn't want to escalate it to just an absolute war.
A place it didn't need to go.
Yeah, pretty much. And this is where also silence does not mean guilt, nor silence does not mean anything. There are things that are going on behind the scenes that you are speculating does not mean that's really happening. You just don't know till the process plays out. But it's unfortunate that we live in a 24/7, 365 news cycle society right now that you have to have, it's always the first to get it. But I'd rather have it the first to get it right. And, and it's just really sad that it had to, play out this way. Because remember what happened with Mike Babcock, which, someone's bringing up? I let the process play out. I didn't assume that the worst. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. But as time went along, the Blue Jackets did their due diligence, and eventually they parted ways. And, you got to let the process play itself out sometimes, unfortunately, even though you want to know what happened and do something. Swift justice is great, but the right justice is better.
I couldn't agree more. When the Blue Jackets thing happened, I don't think I wrote a single piece for Fansided about it until he was actually fired and replaced by Pascal Vincent. And then the same thing with, this Corey Perry situation. I think I had one little segment of an article where I wrote about how he's away from the team right now. But, from that point, I really didn't talk at all about, what went on with Corey Perry and the rumors that were. That's just something that doesn't need to be discussed in any way, shape, or form. So, it's maddening to me that, this is the society that we live in. And you know what? I like social media. It's allowed me to connect with a lot of people watching the show, a lot of people that I work with here at the Let's Go Devils podcast network. These are people I would have never met in a million years if it weren't for social media and, being involved and stuff like that. Well, it has its pros and its cons. I don't know. I really, really hope that this is something that doesn't, linger for very long. The rumor has been debunked by Kyle Davidson. They moved on from it, and we move. Now here at the Let's Go Devils podcast network, Game Day Live, of course, we do have to get to the New Jersey Devils as well. They play tonight against the New York Islanders. Really quickly, I haven't been on since Game Day Live of the last game that New Jersey played. Of course, it was against the Buffalo Sabres. And I'll tell you the truth. We were interviewing Rebecca Morse during that pregame show. and we had Tara Hoffman too, and they were outstanding. I was nervous going into that game. I'm like, if they get smoked by Buffalo, like this team's in real trouble. And he came back, which is clearly really helpful. And they came out and they looked like the team that we expected the Devils to be. And then I was having a chat with my brother about hockey yesterday, and I was like, did the Devils actually, it was that game against Buffalo, would it have been the best game that they played all of last season? I think you could make a case for that. I mean, it was quite literally a perfect New Jersey Devils game. Do I love that Vitek Vanacek gave up 2 goals on 12 shots? No. In a game like that, if you give up 12 goals or 12 shots and you score 7 goals, it'd be nice for that to be a shutout, or you give up 1 goal, but that's an issue that the Devils have right now. It's just kind of like the truth is that the goaltending has been a little suspicious, and they need to find ways to work around it. They did. They scored 7. It was awesome. Luke Hughes scored his first career goal at home, which was really, really cool. And, now we get to move on, and hopefully they are able to carry that kind of momentum into, this game that they're going to play here against the New York Islanders. And the Islanders, they are, one of those teams, they're pesky, right? Like no matter where they are in the standings, they're a type of team that you're like, hey, we can get our butts kicked by these guys if we don't play well. And they got guys that'll make plays: Brock Nelson, Matt Barzal, Bo Horvat. It hasn't been all amazing for them, but they also seem, for whatever reason, they always seem to kick it into another gear when they're playing the New Jersey Devils. And you get that a lot from division rivals sometimes, but I do think the 2 New York teams, all 3 of these teams, the Devils, Islanders, Rangers, they kind of like put it into a new throttle when they do reach this point of playing each other, and it's in the middle of the season. And, neither team has probably gotten off to the start that they were hoping for when it all came along. But, that last win against Buffalo for New Jersey is a good one, at least in my opinion, because like I said, you got Heischer back, you got Hughes back. You see a little bit of a difference in Luke Hughes when Jack is around, at least for now. I'm sure there'll be points where they'll be able to handle each other's absence, but right now they definitely do work well together on power plays, and when they're playing catch to each other, it just works. And I think the world of Nico Hischier. I wrote an article for puckpros.com about how I believe that Nico Hischier is equally as important to the New Jersey Devils as Jack Hughes. And when I say that, I truly do mean it, because yes, Jack Hughes, he might have 50 more points than Hischier every single season on average for the next 10 years. That would not shock me in any way, shape, or form. But like, does that mean Jack gets 30 points and Hischier's getting 85, 90? Because that's still a lot of points. If you're someone like Nico Hischier, who's elite in every realm of the ice, he might not reach that type of number this year just because of the injury and the moderately slow start offensively. But you see, when you watch that guy play, how he impacts all 3 zones. He scored right when he came back, which makes me wonder if when he came back, did he actually, was he actually healthier than he was when he made his debut earlier in the season? Like, it just seemed like something wasn't right with Nico in the first couple games. And then in this game against Buffalo, he looked like a man on a mission. So tonight against the Islanders, hopefully both Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier are able to play well down the middle of the ice. I'll tell you what, wingers are awesome. They're so fun to watch. A lot of people like watching the team play well with these high octane wingers that flying up and down the ice. You got Jesper Bratt. For up until the last couple games, you got Timo Meier. Tyler Toffoli's real good. I am a huge fan of Dawson Mercer, Alexander Holtz, all these guys that are just doing a whole bunch of scoring. It's so hard when you don't have the center depth. Most wingers don't drive offense like a centerman. A lot of them are great. A lot of them can put up points, make pretty passes, shoot really well. It's hard when you take out 2 guys who drive a line the way that Hischier and Hughes do. You're going to see it fall off just a little bit. And then when they come back, ironically, that's when you see Jesper Bratt and Tyler Toffoli look just like they did, before those guys' injuries. So I'm one of those people who's like, man, we got the 2 centers back. It was a rough little stretch there where they lost 7 out of 9. let's turn it around and let's go again. You got one against Buffalo. You got rid of the sour taste. It's gone. You know what it's like to win again. You're really still very much like you're not one of those teams that buried yourself because you had a little bit of a tough stretch in November and or October. You're not the Edmonton Oilers, right? You're not. I'm trying to think of another good with the Minnesota Wild. These teams that expected to be really, really good this season, but they're like a little buried now. If anything, you played your poorest hockey. You're still right in the mix. Now it's time to elevate. Who knows? The sky could be the limit. I think of the Florida Panthers from last year. They even took the tough stretch even further than where we are right now with this season. It was like halfway through December, early January, where they kind of like really started to turn it on. They went on this crazy winning streak at the end of the season, and they still barely squeaked into the playoffs by I think 1 point. And then they're in the Stanley Cup final in the blink of an eye once the postseason begins. They beat the Bruins in the first round, the greatest regular season team ever. Just get in the playoffs. This is still a developing team too. They're still as young as pretty much any contending team in the NHL right now, which is not necessarily something, a lot of the times teams with the age average that the Devils have right now, I think most of the time when those teams exist, they're like lower in the standings. The Devils are expected to compete because of how really good those top guys are. So if you guys are in the chat on YouTube right now, throw your predictions in the chat right now. I will be able to read off a lot of them in the chat. And it looks like Sam Wu is back right in time to get into predictions.
Oh yeah, definitely predictions. This is a big game. You're talking about the Islanders, Metropolitan Division. Every point counts. You want those solid points. You don't want those special. What's that? The special teams points? No. Whatever. I can't think of the term. But you want to win in regulation. That's what I say.
Yeah, I totally agree, especially against these division rivals. A team like the Islanders, especially who you're kind of jockeying for position with, they're going to be right there till the end. You look like you thought of what you were going to say.
Yeah, the skills competition. I was trying to.
Oh.
You don't want to win in the skills competition.
Agreed.
I was like special events, skills competition. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to get it done, win regulation, especially, like I said, against these division rivals that you're playing. You got the Islanders tonight. Sam, you got Philly on Thursday. Hopefully they reveal their Stadium Series jerseys ahead of that game. I mean, it would just be perfect to get them out in time for the holidays, and You're doing it against the Flyers. I've seen teams do that in the past. Hopefully that's something that ends up happening, but and then you got the Sharks on Friday, and the Sharks, they're terrible. And that's a team you have to beat, but they've been really, really good at home lately. We'll see. I know this one's at home, so, it's a little bit different, but for the Devils, I'm saying. But, you just got to keep banking these points. You got to play well now that everybody's healthy. The health excuse is gone. You're only missing Timo Meier now. And, yeah, I know there's a couple other, but none as consequential as Hughes, Heischer, or Meier. And, if Meier ends up returning, then you're the Devils that we all looked at the beginning of the season and said this team could win the Stanley Cup. So time to start putting some points in the bank and fast.
Agreed. So what's your prediction, Vinny?
My prediction is that the Devils are going to win this game. It's going to be a close one. It always is against the Islanders. I don't love the Devils goaltending yet. Neither guy has swayed me yet. They did last year, but they lost my trust at the beginning of the season, but I like the team around them. So, but I think the Devils can score on Sorokin. So I'm thinking 4-3 win for the New Jersey Devils.
What are other people thinking? Vinny?
Yeah, so Sam, in the chat, the predictions have kind of been coming in since we first started, so I got to scroll up a little bit, farther than I usually do. But Max says 5-2 Devils. Steve Engel says 4-2 Devils. Beach says 4-2 Devils. JP says 4-3 overtime win for New Jersey. Matthias says 7-2 back-to-back, which would be really, really cool if they won a game 7-2 yet again. That game against the Sabres was just what I needed so bad. I needed for the third period to just watch the Devils with stress-free, knowing that they were going to win. That would be awesome if they could get that done again.
Agreed.
Yeah, so I'm looking for a couple more before we get into your prediction. Survey says 3-2 Devils. Joseph says 3-0 Devils. JP 4-3 overtime winner. So yeah, that's gonna be it for the predictions from us. What do you think about your prediction, Sam?
My prediction: 5-3 Devils. I think they're gonna pull it off. I'm not sold on their defense yet. They need to improve on that aspect. Goaltending, but 5-3 Devils.
That's what we like to hear. Absolutely. I think that's something that's important, and hopefully they're able to kind of take care of their business today against a division rival.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Vinny, we'll get out of here. Any last thoughts?
I hope the Devils play well. Nico Hischier, Jack Hughes, drive play down the middle. The wingers will succeed. The D will have your back. Let's go.
Yeah, definitely. Devils Islanders coming up. Top of the hour, and we'll be back for Devils After Dark after the game. Scotty, a SiriusXM, Liquid Metal, and I will recap the game that was. Dropping the podcast in about 20 minutes. Thank you so much, Vinny, and just to let you know, our tailgate, February 17th at MetLife Stadium. Stay tuned for more details because we want you to join our crew. Yeah, join our crew as we're putting the finishing touches to the plans we're about to announce soon. All right, everybody. Enjoy the game. See you for Devils After Dark after the game. Till next time, let's go Devils.